Everyone ready? The Mahoney County Board of Elections will hold a regular board meeting of the members of the board on Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 at 4:18 p.m. in the room of the Mahoney County Board of Elections office, 345 Oak Hill Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio, 44502. Would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Here.
Attorney Beatrice.
Here.
Attorney Robinson.
Here.
Attorney Bayer.
Here.
Would we please stand for a pledge of allegiance led by the Vice Chairwoman of the Board of Elections, Sandra Barger.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a moment of silence for our nation and for the victims and the local attorney that was perished in the local plane crash? Thank you. I'll take a motion now to approve the minutes of the June 3rd, 2025 regular board meeting.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Denise Bayer. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
We will now, I will accept a motion to approve the bills of accounts and payments for April, May, and June of 2025.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Attorney Lisa Robertson. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would the director call the roll?
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Attorney Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
Chairman's report. Certify the validity and sufficiency of the independent candidates' petitions for the November 4th, 2025 elections. And I think we have some problems, do we not?
We do, but we can take the petitions that are good first. There's a sheet in front of you from the city of Youngstown and the city of Campbell and Holden Village.
Struthers.
So this is the one for Youngstown?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay, so for the independent candidates for the general election for November 6th,
That's the top sheet here.
I got it right here. There are no problems with independent candidate Mayor Derek McDowell, is that correct?
No, the staff has double-checked this validity and sufficiency of these petitions, and they are correct.
All right, and do we want to vote on these individually, board, or do we want to take them in mass? I would suggest we do each one individually.
You're the chair. You will
So,
do that then.
all right, I would take a motion to accept the independent candidate for the city of mayor for Derek McDowell. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Attorney Bayer. Is there any questions, comments, or concerns? My only question is the board has reviewed all of this, and Derek McDowell's petitions are sufficient. That's correct?
They are correct.
All right. Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
All right, now for president of council, it looks like for the city of Youngstown, we have a Richard Yazlik. Am I saying that correctly?
Correct.
And you have reviewed all of the, well, we'll take a motion to accept the president of council independent candidate. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Attorney Robinson. Any questions? I have some. And once again, with this, the board checked sufficiency, everything is okay.
Validity and sufficiency of the petitions are okay.
Anyone have any other questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, would you call the roll on this, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
City of Struthers, we have an independent candidate, a Mark T. Brenner. It we will accept the motion to accept the Mark T. Brenner as independent candidate for the treasurer for the city of Struthers.
So moved.
Moved by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Attorney Bayer. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns? Once again, the same three questions I have: validity, sufficiency, and and everything's correct on this, right?
That is correct, Chairman.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we will call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Baer.
Yes.
Now, the next is for the Village of Poland Council at large, 4 to elect. So there's 4 here, and there's 4 to elect, correct?
That's correct.
So we'll take these in mass. And so I'll take a motion for an Abby Lynn Bozak, a Laura Lee LaPlante, am I saying that correct?
Sure.
Chris Kraft, and a Samuel M. Moffey.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Attorney Robinson. Once again, I would have a question. Once again, the staff reviewed the signatures, sufficiency, and everything is in order.
That is correct, Chairman.
Okay. Hearing no more questions, comments, or concerns, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chair Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Baer.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to go to the independent filings for the City of Youngstown for board review. Mayor Alicia Foster. And it looks like she did not date the petitions in the statement of candidacy, needed 134 ballot signatures, filed 139, and does not have a required number of signatures.
That's correct. She needed 134. We came up with about 40, but she failed to date most of them, or all of them. Like to pass these down.
Yeah, I want to read that out.
So she lacks the number of valid signatures as well as the face of the petitions incomplete.
So she didn't date the years, or you're
That's
saying?
correct.
And that's a fatal flaw.
That is a fatal. The board has discretion on substantial compliance, but most of the face of the petition is strict compliance, and it's something that every candidate has to do is to sign a date prior to circulation. Then you can see on some of the other petitions, she even failed to sign as well as date.
This one's not even signed or dated.
Yeah.
Folder.
So none of these signatures are even good.
That's correct.
How many valid signatures did she have?
40, about 40, a little over 40.
Okay. All right, I will accept a motion to disqualify Alicia Foster as an independent candidate for the mayor of City of Youngstown.
So moved.
There's a motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns other than what we've just discussed? Hearing none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bear.
Yes.
Okay, the next petition we have is John White. And he has a residency problem. He has valid signatures enough.
Yeah, the face of his petitions and the sufficiency of his signatures are good, the petitions are good. This goes back to an issue we had 4 years ago, the same issue, and that's the city charter, how the city charter is interpreted. I think the board's in receipt in your file of a opinion from the Youngstown Law Department. And then we also have John White is represented by counsel, and I believe in your package you have a letter from Kenneth Myers as well.
This just came in today.
That's correct.
Can I just have a moment to look at it? Do we have time, Mr. Director, to set up a hearing for this?
We do.
Okay. I would prefer, before the board votes on this, that there are some issues he's raised in his memorandum in opposition to the City of Youngstown that I think the board, unless I'm missing something here, my two fellow lawyers, that I would like to vet a little bit more, rather than to just sit here and try to make a snap decision today.
I agree with that.
So can we have a motion to set a hearing?
We have until the 15th, which I believe is that's next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
That would have to be, and how much notice do we have to give people?
5 days.
5 days. 5 business days or 5
5
days?
business days.
So that would have to be Monday then.
We'd have to give 5 days notice, but we have until next Tuesday actually to hold it. By the 15th, we have to have a ruling on this certification.
So we have to either have the hearing Monday or Tuesday.
Correct.
If we have it on Monday, we have 5 business days
That's
notice.
correct, yeah.
We can do it Monday afternoon. Everyone look at their calendar. I'm supposed to be in a jury trial, but, you know, if we can make it at 4:30, I might be out of my jury trial in time.
On Monday or Tuesday?
Well, I've never known to try a case in one day with a jury, so either day it'd have to be 4:30.
Oh, okay.
So either the 14th or the 15th, we'll take a motion for either one. That's next week to today. Okay. As long as we have a decision by then. So we can have the city here, we could have Mr. White here, and we can have a we sit, when we do this, we sit as a quasi judicial board.
So you're saying 15th at
4:30.
4:30?
Yeah.
That works for me.
That works for me. Can we have a motion?
I'd rather do it Monday, but
Well-
Denise, you can't do it Monday?
We made it at 5, would that be any easier?
Yeah, or even 4:30.
On Monday?
I said 4:30 on Monday.
Did you say 4?
Yeah.
Can we do Monday?
No.
Monday works for me as well.
Monday works.
I will make a motion to have the hearing on Monday, the 14th at 4:30.
Just because you know your star hearings, you think you can order everyone else. All right, there's a motion to hold a hearing to determine the eligibility of John White for mayor on Monday, July 14th at 4:30 p.m. And we'll send letters out both to the city and to John White. And we'll hold a hearing on the issues presented as to whether or not he fulfills and meets the residency requirement. Now, is this something that just the city of Youngstown weighs in on? Or can we get an opinion from our county prosecutor also?
This is something the county prosecutor is going to defer back to the city since it's a charter issue.
Yeah, but if we get sued, it's the county that's gonna
County, I-
represent us, so.
I'll reach out to them. and let them know.
Just let them know. I'm glad they're punting the ball over to the city, but if we make the wrong decision based on what the city told us, they're the ones that have to come in and defend it. So I think we should get at least their interpretation of whether the city law director is correct in what they're saying. Because as I read, and this gentleman's name, I'm sorry, is Mr. Myers. As I read Mr. Myers' letter, he's saying, well, he's been a resident of 5 years but not an elector, and he thinks that that makes him qualified, if I'm understanding your argument correctly. And so, we'll decide it then. Could the director call the roll on that, please? Oh, what?
We have a motion, but not a second.
Oh, no one seconded it?
I'll second the motion.
Attorney Robinson seconded it. With the, and so, we're gonna have it on whether or not John White is fulfilled the residency requirement pursuant to the Youngstown City Charter to run for mayor. Because everything else with his petition is correct. Am I correct in that assumption?
That is correct.
All right. So, are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Having none, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Barger,
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to move to the Village of Poland, Council at Large, Kelsey Morton.
Correct.
According to this, the petitions were not filled out, information was added at the counter, circulator statement was not filled out, signatures appear to be the same, E25 has 26. Is there a motion to disqualify Kelsey Morton as a council at large?
Do you want to look at it first?
Well, I think we can make a motion and then look at it and then vote. That's what the comment, questions, and concerns would be on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're not sorry, that's just how we do it.
So moved.
All right, there's a motion to disqualify. Is there a second?
I second.
Second. All right, now questions. Now here's what we're going to discuss it.
Sure. If you look at the face of the petition, we highlighted what she filled in, village council, and the municipality we filled in after the fact, as well as the nominating petition, in addition to the circulator statements are blank. That is,
That's a fatal flaw.
that's a strict compliance issue.
So you're saying she filled this out at the counter
That's correct.
and this too? But not having,
The circulator statements are paid order as well.
yep. And once again, no signature on any of them?
Looks like the same handwriting over and over again.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's a signature of a
Yeah.
circulator and that is a fatal flaw. So. We don't even know who circulated these petitions. All right, I've seen enough on that one. Attorney Bayer on the circulating petitions right here. That's a fatal flaw if the circulator doesn't sign that they witnessed all the signatures. Okay? Would the director call the roll, please? On the motion to disqualify Kelsey Morton's petitions.
Vice Chairman Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Petras.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
All right, now, there's also a problem with the Betsy Rudzik petitions, so we need a motion, and then we can discuss what the problem is. A motion to disqualify Betsy Rudzik.
Becky.
Oh, did I say Betsy? I said Becky. Becky, for council at large. Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's a motion made by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. All right, now, let's talk about this one.
Okay, on her petitions, there's enough valid signatures. The form itself was filled out except for the nominating petition part right here. So it's the middle part. If you go back to Directive 2025-20, I believe, the board does have, it's a substantial compliance issue on this one. The information on this section matches what's on this section, but this section was not filled out, so I'll pass the petitions down. And again, we highlighted in yellow what was not filled out. She filled it out at the counter.
Who said she filled out the counter?
Danny took the petitions, so we know what she came and was not filled out.
Everything else is completed correctly.
That is correct.
So it was just those two that she signed. The other two she did sign.
No,
Or
I
highlighted
was
it.
just one, which means that she wouldn't have enough valid signatures.
Right, the other two petitions were good, that one.
Yeah.
We have a question on.
Okay.
Then
So
also-
these are okay, but these two are not, which is 23 valid and 14. So that would put her below.
Yeah.
How many valid signatures does she need?
She needed 25.
Well, on this one where everything's filled out, she's got 29.
No, she's got 23 valids,
Yeah.
And how many valids here?
14.
So that's
Oh, well, that-
37.
She should be okay then.
Yeah, but the one part petition is the where she filled in the nominating section at the counter.
Well, according to what Tom told us, this is the one she filled out the counter. It has 23 valid
Did
signatures.
you make copies of these two? Is that what these are? These are duplicates?
Yeah, these are
Oh, okay,
duplicates.
all right, well, that makes more sense.
There's not 4 parts, it's
Oh,
only
two,
2.
okay.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay,
All
that
right.
makes.
Now that makes sense.
Now that
to me.
makes sense, okay. So,
And what is the directive from the Secretary of State?
Under the nominating petition portion, I'll pass this down. Need it back, because we have another one like this in a few minutes. The nominating petition portion of the form, if it's incomplete, is a substantial compliance decision for the Board of Elections to make.
When do we have to,
what if we have to do this with the prosecutors?
yeah, I mean, did we get an opinion?
We have in the past, and we've had conflicting opinions. For 12 years, we always accepted those. It wasn't until the last meeting of Mark McCarthy, which was 4 years ago, that we decided not to accept those. In the past, when we called the Secretary of State, not in this administration, but previous administrations, they said it's the board decision alone, but it's a duplication of information.
To me,
No signers are misled based on that.
yeah, I mean, it's filled out up here correctly.
That's correct.
I would say that she substantially complied, especially since she had another one. And I think it's an oopsie. My position is that the voters should have their say and not the board to stand as a roadblock, that this should be the voters' decision. And I think that this is in substantial compliance, so I would be probably voting against that motion because I think that's substantial compliance, and your suffrage should happen at the ballot box, not on a petition that I think is in substantial compliance. That's my position.
So you don't think that we should contact the prosecutor's office? Because that's what that says, in consultation with its legal counsel.
Correct. And in the past, when we've done that, they've always come back and said it's a board decision of either one.
Okay, so you,
And there's court cases out there that boards have ruled both ways and it's
Okay.
been upheld.
they need to see that. Bring Tommy to that.
None of it's really, the next one would be this one too.
Okay. So, Danny, she does have enough signatures then?
Yes,
On the, between the two?
she does.
Okay.
In consultation with its legal counsel, the county prosecuting attorney. So, Tom, what you said earlier was that
We've gotten to opinions both ways.
both ways.
And so we as a board have to make a decision. It's substantial compliance. My position, and I'm not saying this is the board's position, that suffrage should happen at the ballot box, not at this table, unless it's a fatal flaw. And this is a substantial compliance issue. I think she substantially complied with it, and I think the voters should have their say. That would be my position. I'm not saying that has to be anyone else's position, but that would be mine.
So when was the most recent consultation with the prosecutor's office?
It would have been 2023 on this one. And they said it's up to the board to decide. And for the past 4 years, the board has decided that was a strict compliance issue. Prior to that, it was always a substantial compliance issue. The 2025 directive says it is a substantial compliance.
Before it was strict compliance, then they changed it to substantial compliance. Yeah, after our last opinion.
Well, we always want people to be able to run,
Yeah,
and at the top of the form, she has all her information. And anybody signing the petition should have been able to see that,
That's correct.
so,
if she would have filled out both when she turned them in, that would have changed my mind,
right.
but she had the top part filled out. So a no vote would be we allow her on, a yes vote means we kick her off, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
All right, is everyone ready to
Yep.
call the, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Barger,
No,
Chairman Beatrice.
No.
Attorney Robinson.
No.
Attorney Bayer.
No.
All right, so Betsy Rudzik will be on the ballot. All right, now we're moving to City Camel, am I correct?
That's correct.
And for mayor, we have Joseph Mazzacco. These are independent. There's something funny with Camel, isn't it? There's always a little kerfuffle with them. They run at large. What is it, son?
Wait, it's the water? There's always a couple, always.
These are not independents, right?
They're nonpartisan.
They're nonpartisan.
well, this is an election that will be in September on the
It's a
23rd.
runoff.
Correct, this is a
Yeah.
primary for the city of Campbell.
So this is the primary.
It's a runoff, yeah. Yeah.
When does this election take place?
September 23rd.
And then,
They'll run in November.
and they run in November?
Then
And
they run in
independents
November.
could file right before the September primary?
Yeah,
I know that was something. All right, so we take these all in bulk, the ones that are good, right? All right, so that'd be Mayor Joseph Mazaka for mayor and Bill Valentino, President of Council George Levendis, Law Director Lamprini, Gus Matthews, and Brett Billick, Ward 2 Loannis Cloris, and Ward 3 Ryan Young. Is there a motion to accept all of these for the primary election that's to occur on September 23rd, 2025?
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra Barker. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Attorney Bayer. Now, always in Camel, because they have nonpartisans, it's always weird when we're doing their petitions, but we have an election in September just in Camel, right?
actually, we don't have to hold a primary because there are no, in other words, there are two to elect for mayor for one position.
There had to be 3 or more.
So
Yeah,
there is gonna be no primary, so this is just certifying it for the general also.
right,
And
right.
depending on how we vote on these, as to whether or not we have a primary.
No, it wouldn't make a difference.
For the board review,
I
Yeah,
don't have anybody running for president.
we have president
Mayor.
and council,
Yeah, but
we have a Dennis Pisarcik and a George Levendis.
but you would only have two, and they would move on to
I
the
see what you're
general.
saying, right. So no matter how we rule on these board
Yeah.
review ones, there's still not gonna be a primary.
No,
Okay. All right, so is there a motion to accept, did you make a motion?
Yes, I did.
And Denise, you seconded it? All right, can we have a vote on the valid primary elections for the city of Camden? Would the director call the roll?
Vice Chairman Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson. Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
All right. Now we're moving to board review. Council President, Dennis Pisarcik. There's 3-part nominating petitions. Section is not filled out. He also identified the offices as the president of council, and according to the city charter, it's council presidents. Need 100 valid signature, it has 144.
Correct. Very similar to the Rebecca Rudsick case where some of the nominating petitions, this section is filled out, 3 parts are not.
So let's make a motion not to accept it, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
Is there a motion not to accept it?
So moved.
There's a motion made by Sandra Berger. I'll second that motion.
And that's for Dennis. Chair. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now let's talk about his petitions.
Okay. Very similar to Rebecca Rudsick, where some of the nominating petitions, the section is filled out, 3 are not.
But how big of a deal is it to not put president of council and then
Council
instead of
president.
council president? Is that,
We had that in 2011. It was
Yeah.
the George Levendis race, George Levendis and
Juanita Rich.
Juanita Rich. The prosecutor's office at that time said there was no difference. No voter was misled. There's
And he
only-
filled these out at the counter?
No.
'Cause these are
No.
filled out.
some were,
Some
some
were,
were,
some
some
were not.
won't.
Well, which ones do we know were and which ones do we know were
The
not?
ones that were filled out, the ones that weren't filled out.
So these are not filled out at all?
Correct.
Well, it's not the same. I mean,
It's not the same.
no, I mean, she filled it out, but she filled it out at the counter. These are not filled out at all.
Correct, but they should be filled out, the determination, they should be filled out prior to circulation. Rebecca Rudsick decided she was gonna fill them out, which really shouldn't make a difference one way or the other. You're gonna see one coming up with a filled out where it wasn't signed and dated, but it's after the fact, so it doesn't matter. We can fill out something after the fact.
Well, there's two signatures here that are dated after she signed her petitions. 4/2 and it's 04. First two signatures say 4/2. Am I missing something there?
This is Dennis.
Oh, that's Dennis. Did we already vote on Dennis? No,
No,
that's the
we
one we're
got
looking
it.
at.
We're working on Dennis.
Right?
That's correct, these two should be invalid. The first two were dated 2 days prior to him signing, and then everything else after that is after the fact. So those two signatures should be removed.
Yeah,
That you'll see
okay.
17 valid then there?
17 valid on this one.
Does that change? How close was he?
He's 44 over what he needed. He needed 100, he has 144.
Dave, where are the two signatures?
These two, these top two.
So if you
Good
see,
catch,
he
Dave.
dated it 04 of April, and these are dated 4/2, which means these were signed prior to him filling that out, which makes these two signatures invalid. It's like I've been doing it a couple of years, huh?
That's why we didn't start without you.
Oh, I think this is substantial compliance. I don't think president of council or council president.
President makes a difference.
I think that's tomato, half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, in my opinion.
That last page is right.
So a no vote would be, we let them on the ballot. A yes vote means we kick them off. I'll let you guys look at it.
So he didn't fill out.
He didn't fill out this part until.
Right.
But in the rest of them, he did. Is everyone ready to vote?
Yep.
Okay, so if we're clear, a no vote lets them on the ballot, a yes vote kicks them off, correct?
Correct.
All right, would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Barger,
No.
Chairman Petras.
No.
Attorney Robinson.
No.
Attorney Bayer.
No.
All right, the next one is Ward 1, Tim O'Brien. He has one part petition is not dated or signed, need 25 signatures, has 17. The chair will make a motion to disqualify Tim O'Brien's petition. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Attorney Robinson. Okay, now we have a discussion on this one. This seems pretty
Sure.
easy.
Yeah, there are two-part petition. One is signed with 17 valid. The other was 6 valid, but it's not signed nor dated, which is a strict compliance issue.
This is an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is easy. This is a definite no-go. And he doesn't have enough. And he only has 3 valid on this one? It says 17 valid. Okay, 17 valid. How many total valid did he need?
25.
Okay, so he doesn't have enough number. Even if we counted them all, he doesn't have enough number.
You've been real close here.
Not even 23.
17 and
6.
Just
23,
23.
so he wouldn't have.
Okay. Okay, so a yes vote on Tim O'Brien would mean he's not on the ballot, and a no vote would be he is on the ballot. So would the director call the roll?
Vice Chairman Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Petras.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bayer.
Yes.
All right, Ward 3, Mary Janik. Did not identify the ward number on her petition, needs 25 valid signatures, has 26. I once again make a motion to invalidate the petitions. Is there a second?
I s-
Moved.
seconded by Vice Chairwoman Sandra Barker. All right, let's talk about this one.
Sure, Mary Janik turned in 2 petitions. She's running for 3rd Ward Council in Campbell, but did not identify she's running for 3rd Ward.
That's a fatal flaw,
That's a
right?
fatal
Yeah.
flaw. Voters need to know which council race she's running for. If it was a council at large, in some municipalities would be fine, but this is a ward race.
And where would that go on this petition?
Up where it says office run for, she's 3rd Ward Council.
Just says council member.
Yeah, it should say 3rd Ward.
Okay. That's a fatal flaw, correct, Tom?
That is correct.
All right. We're ready to vote?
I think so.
Yes, so, once again, a no vote would put her on the ballot, a yes vote would not put her on the ballot. So, would the director call the roll?
Vice Chair Barger?
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice?
Yes.
Attorney Robinson?
Yes.
Attorney Barrett?
Yes.
All right, the last one we have to consider is Robert Jude Stanko, and he dated and signed his petitions at the counter, needed 25 out signatures, has 35. I would move to not certify him to the ballot. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Lisa Robinson. All right, let's have a discussion on this one. What happened here?
Sure, he came in to file his petitions. I think he was informed that they weren't signed and dated, so he did it right there in front of one of our employees.
After the signatures were collected?
That's correct.
That's the fatal flaw.
Right.
Okay.
The top part, correct?
Well, no, see right here where you put 24 June? Well, these are all dated
Yeah,
before
but
the,
But that was signed in front of somebody and it wasn't June 24th. Do we have a date when it was
Right.
received? Is it stamped?
Yeah, it should have a,
20.
June 25th.
yeah. Well, he dated this one 18th of February, but
But he signed them on the,
But this is dated June 24th, and he signed June 24th in front of you?
yes,
Even though it was June 25th.
yeah.
So these we can't count,
No,
and he doesn't have enough of these. He only has 20.
that's correct.
but he
Well, he
signed
signed
both of these
both.
together, right?
He signed both part petitions.
He
right?
signed both parts at the counter.
Okay.
But this one's dated February 18th. Are you saying that when he came up, that the February 18th day was blank?
Well, he probably looked at this date.
I'm asking.
I didn't notice that February date.
Some of the signatures are February.
Let's come on up, Danny.
I need to know, when he came up, because this is dated January 25th. See where it says February 18th on his
Yeah.
petition? Did he fill that one out and this one? Did he put both those dates in at that time?
It was just this one, Danny.
I would have to say it was just this one.
It doesn't give enough signatures.
Right.
Just the one?
Yeah. Just the one, yeah. Right?
Okay. I don't know, I wasn't there. But it was definitely,
Yeah, he needed 25.
this one's stamped June 25th
Right.
and dated.
June.
And you're saying you saw him sign June 24th at
He
the
did.
counter.
He signed at the counter.
So we have to, that's a fatal flaw in my
Yeah.
opinion. Okay. So once again, a no would be he's not on the ballot. The yes would be he's on the ballot.
No,
So would the director call the roll?
no,
What?
it's the opposite. A no vote means we put him on the ballot.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
a
right.
yes vote says
You're
he's not on the
correct.
ballot.
No, could I correct myself?
Okay.
When he came in, I noticed his petitions weren't signed. And I had advised him to recirculate. He left and came back a short time later.
Okay.
That's it, yeah.
With the same, so were they, he didn't come back the next day? He came
No,
back
he
the
came
same
back the
day,
same day.
and that's when you noticed that everything was filled out?
Pardon me?
Is that when you noticed that that top part was filled out?
No, I noticed it wasn't filled out when he first came in.
Okay,
Somebody else, he came back and they took the filing.
And they were filled in at that point.
Yes,
still, it's after the signatures,
That's correct, yes.
at least on the one petition.
yes.
Okay. Would the director call the roll, please?
Vice Chairman Barger.
Yes.
Chairman Beatrice.
Yes.
Attorney Robinson.
Yes.
Attorney Bear.
Yes.
All right, Chairman's report. I have some more to report on. I attended the commissioners' meeting 2 Thursdays ago. Not last Thursday, Thursday before last. I gave them the directive from the Secretary of State's office, told them we are out of compliance, informed them of the August 29th date that the Secretary of State wants us to be in compliance with, and it is impossible at this building for us to be in compliance with what the Secretary of State has said we need to be in compliance with. And I informed the board that Sandra Barker, myself, and all 4 of us, as a matter of fact, took an oath that we would follow the laws and the directives, and that they are making us violate our oaths. And it's getting to the point, if we don't get a decision soon, I'm gonna be coming to the board and asking the board for permission to sue the county commissioners in some kind of a writ to give us a building, because we're not doing what the law requires us to do. I mean, we're simply violating the law, and they're making us violate the law. And so we can't have a position where all 4 board members are being forced to violate the law because it's not in our hands. And we've cajoled and we've pleaded, and I think the only thing left to do is to say, hey, you know, we've asked nicely, we've notified you of directives that we have to follow. We're not following those directives. I don't think any court would side with them when they say, this is something you have to do, and they're not doing. So we're gonna see if by August 29th, if we have some kind of a decision on what they're doing, and we go from there. I'm just letting the board know ahead of time that you all read that directive.
Yep.
And it said by August 29th, well, we're not gonna be in compliance by August 29th, I can tell you that. But if we know we're going to a new home by August 29th, we could at least ask for a extension. But we're not gonna make that August 29th compliance date with the Secretary of State. And we all took an oath to say that we would.
And if you could add into that statement that we were assured by the commissioners at the commissioners meeting that there'd be a comprehensive plan by June, and it's July 8th.
Right. So,
It's a comprehensive plan that they're not sharing with us. Maybe they were waiting for the chill plan to come
yeah, well,
available.
that's not gonna come. I mean, if you read those directives, on the cyber stuff, I think we're good.
Yes.
But on the physical stuff, about it being fire alarmed, burglar alarmed, restricted access, making sure it's clean and free of debris, we are in complete violation of those regulations. And so I let them know that, you know, time's up, tick-tock, time's up, and I even let them know that at some point I'm gonna go to the board and ask the board for permission to initiate litigation. I mean, I don't know what else to do. My fellow board members, we're out of compliance with the law. We're not following the law, and we also swore an oath to follow the law.
Well,
So-
and our hands are tied by the commissioners because they won't tell us what their plan is or what
Well, all I know is that August 29th date looms.
Uh-huh.
Is that it, Tom? The record of the August 29th record?
No, this
That's a
is
different one.
petition
Okay.
directive.
So if we know we have a place, then we're gonna have to write to the Secretary of State and ask him if we can have an extension until whenever, but we have no fire suppressants in any of the areas. We have no alarms. No, in here we do, but not downstairs.
If we do it here,
No.
There's a fire in there.
That little one,
that's a fire alarm.
that's an alarm.
But we have no fire suppressants. They want fire suppressants, they want fire alarm, they want it monitored, they want it alarmed for entry. We have none of that. And we can't even make this building get into compliance with that. That's how bad it is. All right. We're gonna go right now to the director's report.
I have nothing today.
Okay. Any unfinished business?
No.
Any new business? I have it. We're gonna be out at the fair this year?
Correct.
Okay, and we're working on that, and gonna have that all done?
Well, we haven't started working on it yet, but
We'll be in the government building.
we're
when we-
going to building. Somebody's got to pick up the slack on that. That was always Joyce's thing.
Yeah, well, that's Joyce's, that's the only thing I'm bringing it about. Oh,
You knew it was her thing, yeah.
Joyce isn't here this year, unfortunately, so someone's gonna have to pick up the ball and run with
The
it.
fair actually called today. They're gonna call back. So,
Let's make sure that we follow through on that, okay?
Since we'll put Melissa in charge, she's not here, so.
Yeah, all right.
Line them up, who's gonna
Hold
volunteer.
on a second. I'll make a motion, we put Melissa Wasco in charge, is there a second?
Second. So voted, she's out.
All right, anything for the good of the order, public comments? Okay, our next special meeting will be Monday, July the 14th at 4:30 PM. And then the regularly scheduled board meeting of the Mahoney County Board of Elections will be held on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 at 4 PM in the boardroom of the Mahoney County Board of Elections offices, 345 Oak Hill Avenue, Youngstown, Ohio, 44502. Do we have any changes on it?
No.
All right. I'll entertain now a motion to
Well,
adjourn.
actually, as Secretary of State's,
Go ahead.
okay, we don't have to have a motion to adjourn. You can just decide as chairman to adjourn.
Okay, I now say we are adjourned.
There we go. Robert's rules.